Gang, Mike here, head trader at True Trading Group. March 28th was another good day because of these low float, really thin small cap stocks have just been going crazy. My last video was about low float monsters, and here we go. We come right back here today, and we've got more low float monsters. PLAG, CLWT, SFET later in the day. I mean, these small cap stocks are just they just catch volume out of nowhere, and then they just go. So another nice day for me today. Two trades, one one loser, one winner. But the winning trade well far exceeds the losing trade, and that's how it should be, guys. It's so important that you stick to your stop losses and that you manage your risk appropriately, because you can't just sit there and hold on to a stock as it goes against you, just hoping that it bounces and turns around and say, oh, well, it's fallen so much, it's got to bounce back. You can't have that mentality. There's no room for hope in this game. Okay, there just isn't. You can't just hope. You've got to trade the pattern, trade the chart, what's in front of you, stick to your rules, stick to your stop losses, because my first trade of the day was a loser. It was a full position loss, so it was a decent loss, but then I came right back with this PLAG and just nailed it. Okay, just absolutely nailed it. And if you're trading throughout the day and you have one loser and one winner, you should not be break even. Okay, your average win should be greater than your average loss. I've talked about that a lot in previous videos, and today is just another example of that. So let's get to my first trade of the day. My winning trade was in PLAG, but let's get to TENX. This is my first trade of the day that I took a loss on. It was a good setup. I'll trade this setup again if I see it tomorrow. This one just didn't work out, but I stuck to my stop loss. Okay, I took my loss and I kept it moving. So what I want to point out to you guys here, okay, is that what we have here is the initial morning high. Here's your initial morning high. We broke through that initial morning high with a real strong increase in volume. Okay, real strong increase in volume on that break through the initial morning high. And then what you start to see, guys, is you see the 38.2 Fibonacci level starts to line up. And at the time, VWAP was also sitting right there. So we had the initial morning high, 38.2 Fib, and VWAP with a strong increase in volume when we went through the initial morning high. And I went ahead and I got long right there. No, right there at 229. Okay, I'll take you to my trade announcements on the day. Zoom in for you. Here you guys can see long TENX at 229, stop loss 215 area. And I'm looking for this area to hold support and eventually give us some continuation. And we just blew right through that level. Like that support level was not even there. Okay, and ended up stopping out of the position at 215 like originally planned, 229 to 215. You can see here, 5 minutes later, sold out 215. This was a full-size position. See, it does not say tier 1. I was in a full-size position, but I'm sticking to my stop loss. My stop loss gets reached. I exit the trade. I take my loss, and I move on, and I keep it moving. You see, we ended up rallying back later that morning, but then TENX ended up, kind of pulling itself all the way back down towards lows during lunchtime. And the stock really never, had the juice to keep going, and I took a loss on that first trade. Okay, but again, I'm sticking to my stop loss. My stop loss is 215. We get down to that 215 area. I exit the trade, and I keep it moving. Because then we have PLAG pops up. Okay, PLAG, on the gap up. It was actually on the watch list, gaps up, and then boom, you get this explosive move. And that took us through the initial morning high. Both of these trades, okay, were centered around the initial morning high. One worked, one didn't. Okay, you're not going to get every single pattern. Or you're not going to get a specific pattern that works out 100% of the time. It doesn't exist. All you can do is play the probabilities. It's your job as a trader to put yourself in a high probability situation and then execute in a good risk-reward ratio. That is all trading is putting yourself in high probability situations with good risk-reward. Okay, and that's what I'm doing. And the first one, similar setup, didn't work out. This one does work out. But your average win should be bigger than your average loss. And in order to do that, you have to stick to your stop losses. I couldn't have said in TENX, stop loss 215, and the stock goes down to 210. I'm still holding. Now it's 205. I'm still holding. Now it's $2. I say, damn, bang, and I exit at $2. That's a big difference. okay, you're going to have a very hard time having your average winner be larger than your average loser if that's what you do. You have to stick to your stop loss. Okay, so now let's get to PLAG, initial morning high. We break through it. Real nice, strong increase in volume when we broke through that initial morning high. Then you see we pulled it back in. Bang. There's your support, steps in right there at that initial morning high. We also have the trade line. This yellow line on my screen, trade line is the 9 EMA. Comes into play here, guys, and I got long right there at $5 even. Take it to my trade announcements here. You guys can see at 9.57. Long, PLAG, $5. Stop loss, 575 area, because why? That was the previous high of the day. This previous high is 474. The low of this pullback is 477. So here's my entry at 5. If we get back down below that 475 area, I'm exiting that trade. Okay? So this one, we jump in there at $5. It shoots right up to test the highs. It immediately starts to halt. Okay, so I take some off right before the halt because you can see on level 2 when the stock is about to halt. So you can see I took some off here at 5.56 at 10 o'clock. Then at 10.06, trading resumes. And after you get that trade line VWAP crossover, you look for the trade line to act as an area of support. Let me delete my entry, okay? Because right here you see we got the trade line VWAP crossover, and then when that happens, you look for the trade line to hold support. So we opened up, we touched that trade line, and that trade line just shot us right up through the high of the day, okay? And I took more off right there at $6. Take it back to my trade announcements, and then you can see here we extended. I took more off at 660. Okay, right there. So now let me go back and delete the trade line VWAP crossover. Here is the entry. Okay, at 5. First take profit, second take profit, third take profit. And I broke this up and I held on to a piece. And look, guys, here again, trade line. Okay, so like I said, when you get that trade line VWAP crossover, you look for the trade line to hold support. You see here support, here support. Okay, this one actually was real nice because it lined up with the previous high. So there was your previous high. We broke through it with nice, strong, steady increase in volume. Then you get the pullback and bang, support kicks in right there at that previous high and the trade line and pushes the stock higher. Okay, so now at this point, I'm down to a small piece of the position. Okay, at this point, I'm down to a small piece of position and I'm just holding on because this PLAG, when it was making its move here around 10:15, it really had the makings of an all-day runner. It was trading like an all-day runner. The volume was increasing. So I held on to one last piece in case we were going to continue. You can see we weren't able to continue, and I sold out my last final piece right here. Take it back to my trade announcements. Final take profit, 567, right around that 11 o'clock time frame right here. So once we got back down below VWAP, I exited that position. And why did I choose that area? Because you can see here, that previous high lined up with VWAP, and I said, okay, we get below that level, I'm going to exit the rest of this position, and it turned out to be the right call. All right, so that's it, guys. That was my day, just the two trades, but that's all it took because this PLAG was a big one. We'll do a quick check in on SMAR, quick swing trade update. Okay, a couple days ago, I made a video. I entered SMAR for a swing trade short. Okay, I go to a 15-minute chart just so I can break it down to show it to you guys. And my entry was right here on the gap down, 43.94. If you have not watched this video, just go back. It's just like a couple videos ago when I entered this swing trade short. And you can see we're just working our way lower, you know, gap down today and just kind of stayed negative the whole day. Here we are on the daily chart, and I'm looking for just a little bit more downside here, guys. Just a little bit more. I want to get down to like 39 or so. I actually tried to cover some of this position here today at 39.10, but I did not get a fill. The low of the day was actually 39. Low of the day was actually 39.31. We go back to the intraday chart. Right off the morning when we had the gap down, we just flushed lower. Okay, right here we just started to flush lower off the open, and I just threw a bid out at 39.10. But you can see the low of the day is 39.31, so I did not get a fill. I'm still holding 80% of my position from the initial entry, okay, from 43.94. So I still have 80% of that position. I'm up about $4 a share, so it's working out well so far. But I'm looking to see if I can get a little bit more downside and eventually a final take profit in the mid to high 30s. Okay, so that's just a quick little update on that swing trade for those that are following along on that swing. I'm still short 80% of that position, and I'll continue to update you guys as we go. Okay, but a nice day. PLAG was the one for me today, and that's how it should be, guys. Like I said, 1 win and 1 loss. You should not be break even. You should be green with that, and this is a good example of why. Because if I didn't stick to that TENX stop loss, you know, I would have not have had as good of a day as I did. And today's a great day because it's opening day for the Yankees, and we got a W today. So I made some money, and the Yankees won. Doesn't get much better than that. I'll see you guys in chat. Take care.